Hello everyone, my name is Melody. I often face the question that why do you still spend days scratching and redrawing the pictures in the age when AI can generate the perfect emotion in just 3 seconds? My answer is this, because during those days, I'm not just drawing a picture, I am drawing myself. And that is my topic for today, painting my I am in the age of AI. My journey with art started by accident. When I was a kid, I once took a cable car during a trip with my family. And after that, when I came back home, I drew the scene from memory. This is the cable car similar to the one I took. The background is obviously different, and that is what I drew at the year before. My parents were surprised by the potential they saw in me, so then they decided to encourage me to learn painting as a hobby. After that, I tried almost everything. Watercolor, oil painting, graphic tablets, line drawing, scratchings, and so on. Because I truly love painting, so whenever I pick up the brush, I wanted to do my best. However, the things turned back quickly. In middle school, I often feel overwhelmed by the heavy schoolwork and the toxic relationship at school. And to make matters worse, I gradually lost interest in the endless rows of scratching class. I kept asking myself what the purpose of drawing was, whether art will ever be part of my future, and how to balance my schoolwork with my hobbies. For a while, I even hated painting. The turning point came in the 8th grade. I will never forget that. It was at the beginning of the summer vacation. Me and my best friend went to watch the movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. For immediately, I was so obsessed with the series. The movie has a concept of multiverse, which means every spider people live in their own world, being the one and only Spider-Man there. And beyond the story, what fascinated me more was this. Every character and every universe has its own way of virtual language. The Gwen's Earth 65 flows like watercolors. Miles Earth 1610 blends with Brooklyn hip hop, graffiti, and pop art. Manhattan Earth 50101 explores with Indian maximalism, rich in ceremonial and religious imagery. Hobbies Earth 138 broads like pump and collage. Miguel's Earth 928 feels sharp and futuristic. And we also have the medieval William Vulture, who live in the world feel like Tom Parchment and Leonardo da Vinci sketches. The sport with the bad guy in the movie live in the world like ink painting and abstract art. There are also Lego styles and comic book panels. These styles are not just virtual effects. They remind me that every universe has its own way of expression. So does every single one of us. Thus, I began to imitate the usage of color and try to do some collage and block painting myself. Later, in the summer vacation before the high school, we had an art assignment to paint a corner of our campus. Most students, including me at first, thought of doing it realistically. Then I asked myself, how can I make the piece more like me? Just what Melody truly want to do. And then I tried to use the block colors and the single lines. This is how the final piece turned out. Honestly, I did not expect much because it felt too subjective, too far from standards. However, to my surprise, my teacher actually loved it. She sent it to the exhibition and even turned it into cultural products. That moment taught me that imagination is sometimes more powerful than simple conformity. Since then, I've been bored with colors. To me, colors are not just decorations, they carry emotions and personality. The cleaner aesthetic uses white and pastels to show simplicity. The punk mixes neon and black to shout rebellion. Even MBTI links personality with different colors. That's why I try to connect my BBA, creative calligraphy and art part with this TEDx event. Since the theme is diversity, I designed an interactive activity. In our activity, each of students were able to mix their own ink color and draw or write it on a small piece of rice paper and stick it on our display board. Look, this is our display board look like. I broke it on my way here, I'm so sorry. Most of the participants chose things they loved or are inspired by. Some of them wrote about meaningful quotes from the books they loved, and some wrote warm wishes to encourage themselves or people around them. Some students even drew portraits of their friends to show their cherished relationships. Looking at that board, one thing became so clear to me, that every piece was different, and yet every piece felt deeply personal. At that moment, a phrase came to my mind. I am. I once came across this concept online. It doesn't just mean I am blah 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 followed by a label. It can be anything you choose. Anything truly represents who you are. And then I thought, this board was more than an art display. It's a collection of everyone's I am. So let me ask you guys some questions. When you hear the phrase I am, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? You can raise your hand. How many of you thought about things like, I am a student, I am a teacher, I am a daughter, sort of stuff? These identities are important, but very often they are given to us by others. And the truth is, I am doesn't have to begin with a role. It can be anything you choose. A lyric that speaks to your soul, a hobby that makes you feel alive, a painting, a color, or even a small spark of creativity belongs only to you. Some people define themselves through words, some through painting, and for me, it's through color and style. And I think that's the true meaning of diversity. Not just being different, but being free to express who you are in your own way. Through our different interests, words, and colors, we create a world that is warm, rich, and creative. So now, I'd like to invite you to define your own I am. You can scan the QR code and complete the phrases. Then your answers will appear on my laptop. I see something like productive, I am on my way, I am creative. These answers are awesome. They are the directions and the states of becoming. They point out that I am are not fixed. They can actually grow with us. And this is exactly the point I want to make. In the age of AI, technology is more powerful than ever, but human identities and humanities educations are still irreplaceable. AI can draw a picture, but it cannot capture emotions. It can create a melody, but it cannot tell your stories. What we truly need is not only logic and efficiency, but the imagination filled by warmth and the creativity nourished by different minds. So let me end up with this. The future belongs to those who understand the logic of code, but also the warmth of ink. The future belongs to each of us who dare to paint life in our own colors. Thank you.